one of the things that we were talking about before we digressed into jujitsu was we were talking about perimenopause and menopause and how we don't talk about that enough.
Yeah.
And then you were telling us about your experience, and how you would go to the doctors and
Mhm.
tell them your
Yeah.
symptoms, and they're telling you that they're not even giving you any type of treatment for what you're experiencing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still having to go and look for specialists, reach out to my friends that are in what I like to call uncharted territory. One of my girlfriends is,
Mhm.
I think she's what, 51? Oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to ask Rachel. I know she's in her early 50s, but she
Mhm.
is just at the other. She's just hit menopause, so I guess post. I'm still pre.
Mhm.
And so I'll talk to her about my symptoms, and then she found like a naturopath to go to. And then I found a strength and conditioning coach out here that I did a couple sessions with, who also went through menopause. And bingo, one of the biggest things that women don't do, strength train.
Mhm.
I'm already losing bone density. Jiu-jitsu's great, but I'm not necessarily getting strength training out of that. I mean, I'm involuntarily strength training when I'm having to like get help from under big people, but it's not bench pressing. I mean, let's be real. I can frame and I've gotten really, really good at it. And I'm showing this all the time in class where I'm like, there's zero strength involved with this. I'm the laziest person on the mat. So I'm going to find a way to cheat. That is my entire
Mhm.
game. Find a way to find rest, cheat, and then think about my next move, think about my life while this person does something dumb, and then I will capitalize on it. I'm still kind of working on inserting my game, um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I had to go to another female, and it's like reaching out to those females and finding out, well, who did you go to? Because like my general doctor doesn't know anything. And when I go to them, they can't look at me outside of what they physically see. And I do have Asian blood, so I look a lot younger than my physical age. It's like I have to keep reminding them to look at the sheet of paper. I'm old. So
You're not old, girl. Not old.
I'm feeling, I know, like 50 will be the new 20s here pretty soon.
Yes, yes.
But I mean,
Yeah.
I have
No,
had
but
to
it's
change
true.
up.
Mhm.
I've had to change up my training too. Like I can't, my brain is still trying to wrap its head around the fact that I can't do like 3 training sessions in a single day. Why can't I train for 3
Mhm.
hours and have the energy? Why do I like run out of energy halfway through that? And then when I get hot in the middle of a training session, am I actually hot or am I having a hot flash? And then I'm sweating, but am I actually sweating or is this part of the hot flash? I don't even know anymore. They all run together for me because I will literally
Yeah.
get hot and then be freezing to death all in the same training session at completely
Oh,
not
shit.
appropriate times for what's going on. And I guarantee you that
Mhm.
that all has to do with me kind of my body's trying to regulate and going through trying to go into menopause because even my periods have like
Yeah.
drastically changed. I mean, some of that might be the COVID vaccinations, but whatever. But I would say for the most part, a lot of the changes that I have going on are, because my body's trying to not create eggs anymore. But yeah,
S
there's not a lot out there for that, and it's really sad because I think women overall, we should be much healthier than what our predecessors have looked like. And it's because we've done a disservice to them. My mom is really frail. She's got osteoporosis. I know I'm prone to it,
Mhm.
but it's not something that I have to accept. And it's just like, I don't know why strength training isn't more of a prescription for women. And then why women think that like if they strength train, they're gonna bulk up. When I'm like, that's gonna take heaven and earth, and you actually have to like work at it for that to happen. That's like a lot of work.
Yes.
You probably know all about that.
Yeah, no, it's, part of it is genetics because I put on muscle mass pretty easy, like, I'm a much bigger girl, but
Hmm.
I'm never gonna like, a guy my size, I'm never gonna look like a guy. I'm never gonna
Yeah.
be that big. Like, those
Yeah.
women are actually taking anabolic steroids, and I'm so glad that even the women that don't look like they're taking they're cycling on something are cycling. And there was this really cool YouTube guy. I'm not sure if he was YouTube or Instagram, social media
Mhm.
person
Mhm.
who interviewed these bodybuilders, female bodybuilders, and asked them if they were natural. And they're like, no, this isn't natural. There's so many
Yeah.
influencers that we're seeing online that are
Mhm.
not natural. So, in order for a woman to get that big, she has to be cycling anabolics. In order for a
Yeah.
woman to get that muscular and lean at the same
Mhm.
time, they're on
Mhm.
anabolic steroids of some
Yeah.
kind. They're cycling in some way. It's very like I lift I'm not lifting as much as I have been anymore. I still lift heavy. I still try to do some
Yeah.
sort of heavy lifting session a couple of times a month.
Mhm.
Um but I mostly focus on mobility, and that has a lot more to do with jujitsu and trying to keep my joints limber. But I
Right.
still do strength training because I know that I need it because I'm starting to get to that age. One
Yeah.
of the things that you mentioned,
Mhm.
that is one of the first signs of entering into perimenopause. So there's premenopause,
Mhm.
which is usually reserved for still being in your reproductive years, and then the perimenopause is like you're in that menopausal transition.
Yeah.
And one of the first signs of entering in that menopausal transition is, well, there's two big ones. One is your body composition changes greatly,
Mhm.
and your periods change. Your
Yep.
period is a big sign, like you're really in there.
Yeah.
And it actually starts, um common language is that it starts 5 years prior to the onset of menopause, where you have the
Mhm.
complete cessation of periods for a year, 12
Yeah.
months.
Yeah.
Or but really it's not the 5 years. It can start up, really starts as early as 10 years out.
Mhm.
Right? So one of those changes for me, I was looking at all my photos because I'm trying to gather clips for like my years through jujitsu. And
Yeah.
I used to think I was big, and now I look at my photos, I was like, "Oh, I wasn't that big," and, like, my body composition has greatly changed, and people will say, "We can blame COVID weight," but I was working out this whole time from COVID, so it's not
Mhm.
COVID. It could
Yeah.
potentially be, slowed down metabolism, but I think it's, for me, probably a combination of that and the onset of perimenopause, which sucks. I'm like, "Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Now I need to start eating differently. I need to start trading differently."
Mhm.
Um, and luckily, I know so much more about it. I have a little bit more information than the general population and my mother
Yeah.
prior. But
Right.
just like you said, the main prescription that women need to be doing in order to prevent osteoporosis, to maintain lean muscle mass, to actually maintain a healthy body composition, to stave off hot flashes and other things, is to lift heavy.
Mhm.
Not to do yoga, not to
Exactly.
go out
Exact
for a
I mean, not
walk.
and not that
You need
those
to
things
lift heavy.
are bad. It's just what is crazy to me is like, I mean, honestly, like talking to Mira, which is
Mhm,
the girl I was going. She actually just competed. Actually, she's a badass. She's
mhm.
like 52 and she looks amazing.
That's
Anyway,
dope.
um, yeah, and that girl lifts heavy. She will not train jujitsu. Her husband is a black belt. Um, if we could maybe get her in a Hello Kitty gi, maybe she'd do it. But she's gone through menopause, and one of the things she said, was, I mean, obviously, like eliminate the alcohol. I mean that I think is a big one that people probably don't realize, and COVID probably made all
Mhm,
of us worse about some of our drinking. It's still legal, totally different ball of wax there, but it's just like she was like one of the things you can do that doesn't require a prescription lift, and it's going to help too with adjustments of the testosterone, which is we lose testosterone just like the men do, but yet
mhm,
there's no conversation about it. It's not necessarily, you have to go out and look for the education, which is just nuts to me.
mhm,
Like, it's just not taught anywhere, and I think it's really sad. It's a disservice. It's a disservice, I think, to even to healthcare professionals, because it's like, we're treating people, and if you're wanting to keep us in the career, you need to keep us healthy. So, like, we have a gym. Why not give a prescription for your healthcare providers to go and lift twice a week after or before they work? They'd probably be healthier, but that's just me
Yes.
crying just so that I can, get to do my own thing. But
More exercise.
I mean, I've gained, so okay, even I've always been like the smallest person.
Mhm.
I was what, like 95 pounds when I was training with you guys, maybe
Barely
100 pounds.
100.
Yeah, with the gi.
Yeah.
I now am like a true rooster weight. So with my gi
Wow.
on, I'm kind of hovering right around, I think, 105, 106. I'm probably about 100 to 102. And I am sad to say that like none of that is from strength training because I'm not consistent, which is really sad because I would love for it to be from strength training, except that I know that I'm probably gaining weight because I'm going through all these other like womanly changes. So it's like,
Yes.
yeah, that's so sad that I didn't get it the way I wanted it.
I'm gonna share the link online. There's if Tirza can go to one of my latest posts, I think it is the birth control post that I talked
Yeah.
about on Instagram.
I
There's
think
actually a reason.
there
Huh?
was information about that on that post about,
Yeah,
yeah.
research.
Mhm.
It's about research, and it's not to the healthcare professionals' fault that they don't know that. The research actually is not there.
Yeah.
There's women's the female population, especially when it comes to strength training, nutrition, and exercise, has been
Mhm.
consistently overlooked because of us having our periods and because of our cycles. And what the research is missing, and you can go to the link in my bio, click the link in my bio, and the article is linked there. On like, you know how it goes, click, tap link in bio, and then it looks like Instagram, and then you should be able to click on the post that looks like um, that post, and it'll bring up the article. Um, and so the research article, um, what it's saying is it's underfunded, and the our periods confound it, and the reason why is because we have our different cycles. So we
Mhm.
have the first phase, which is low hormone, meaning that estrogen, progesterone are low, and then we have ovulation, where estrogen really spikes, and then we have our high hormone phase where progesterone progesterone and estrogen are pretty high, and then they taper off when we have our bleed day. And so the reason why those things are significant is because how our body processes carbohydrates and glucose is drastically different phase to phase where we are in our cycles, right? So the higher that, I believe the hormone FSH is, which is in our low hormone phase, it's that's its highest, we tend to be a lot more insulin sensitive.
Mhm.
Thanks for that. And then estrogen, the rise of estrogen in our high hormone phase makes us more insulin resistant. It also makes us have a more inflammatory response. It actually slows down our fast twitch muscle fibers. So these things greatly change how our physiology works.
Yeah.
And all these hormones, these great hormones, estrogen and progesterone, which are the main hormones responsible for women's health, are produced in the ovaries.
Yeah.
And women have a finite amount of eggs and lifespan for their ovaries. And in fact, what this article is telling us is that after we give birth to baby, like after the baby is born,
Mhm.
we lose a lot of our eggs. And then even more so once we as we age, and our ovaries age at a greater pace than our overall physiology. So that by the time we hit our mid 40s and 50s is when our ovaries stop working,
Yeah.
even though we still have 30, 40, sometimes 50 more years of life left. So, what this article is saying is that if we actually take the time to do the research and study women's health and fund women's health, we can figure out a way to prolong a woman's lifespan. And
Yeah.
they actually found in this article that um, if you women who have who experience menopause at a later age in life tend to live longer.
Mm. Yeah. Well, and then it begs the question. So then what are we doing to women when we have them have a hysterectomy?
Hmm.
And then is that the best decision that can be made for them? I mean, one of my friends had hers and I think they left her ovaries so that she would still have, I think, just the benefit of some of the hormones. But I feel like too, I mean, we recover a lot of those surgeries, and of course, since I have more of the issues coming up, where I guess that's something I could probably talk about with a doctor. Um, I question like what kind of education are these women getting before they're making a decision to do something that drastic. And it's a big surgery. I mean, we send those women home sometimes the same day, and that is a big surgery. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Yes. Yeah. It's a lot. I mean, I don't want to bring up any names, but I know someone who did have, I'm not sure if they had a total hysterectomy or partial,
Mhm.
but they noticed that when they had that procedure done, um, the organ had actually supported other organs and muscle in their body in order
Yep.
for their core to function
Yep.
properly.
hmm I mean, there's a lot of stuff that you are, it's not just recovering from getting rid of that. There's just so much
Hmm.
involved. And I just feel like sometimes I'm surprised as to how much of that we're doing, or that women are choosing to do that after they've maybe had their kids in their reproductive years. I know my mom
Yeah.
had said she had had a hysterectomy because she had a lot of adhesions. She just, it's like, I think she was high risk to keep everything.
Mm.
So they elected for that, and it was open actually then, whereas now we can do it laparoscopically, so there's not really much incisional scars like what they used to do. But I kind of question, it's like, is this really necessary? This is pretty drastic that we do
Yeah.
that to women. And then what is, like, what are the risks down the road for doing this to so many women? And do we even know? Like, has that even been studied? I honestly don't know. I haven't even looked into that. So
I guess that'll be my next podcast guest. I just going down the line, man. Just going down the line.
find
Um,
find some
I
doctors to ask some serious questions to. And then just, come on, time to do some research for us here.
yes. Well, I mean, if you're in the field, so if you know any doctors who would be willing to be on the podcast
Yeah,
for future episodes and are willing to have like these honest conversations, I would love to talk to them.
yeah. I'll see. I'll have to ask around. I'll see if I can get anybody scrounged up. Sometimes I'm surprised. I've been finding out that people do things that I didn't expect that I train with. That would be the other
Mm.
thing, is no one's wearing a white coat when you go to train unless it's
That
a
is
gi.
true.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So you should rally around and find out if there's any doctors you're training with that you didn't know about.
Oh, I've definitely found, other professions that I didn't know about, like people who were lawyers and
Mhm.
psychologists, and I wouldn't be surprised if I do find somebody who's a doctor who works in fertility or women's health in some way and can would be willing to have that conversation.
Yeah. No, I
Yeah.
would be interested to watch that podcast and learn more. I feel like I'm still trying to figure it out myself. So,
Yeah.
um It's unfortunate, and I think it's, like, sad, coming back to Roe versus Wade, it's almost like instead of opening the door for us to sort of learn more about our health, it's almost like they've shut the door and we've now moved back, like, all these years. We didn't
Yeah.
really make
When you
progress is the sad part.
Yes, we went backwards. We went
Yeah.
backwards in our law system and our actually supporting
Mhm.
people's needs.
Yeah, and the scary
I
thing is
have
women
yeah.
women are supportive of that, though. It's like they're not
Mhm,
even realizing, because I have definitely gotten to some, I guess, online arguments with people that I went to school with that are on the other side of
mhm.
Roe v. Wade, and I'm shocked. I'm always shocked when it's a female that I'm talking to that is like adamantly against and then throws out the, well, except for an incest or something, like we should just sort of allow it. And I'm like, because you know a court system that's gonna like, make a decision on this in a day.
Yeah, exactly.
Like what court system do you know that works that fast? It's like we're looking at something that may or may not be life or death, but we're going to let the courts decide, which could take months. And meanwhile, this child that was molested is going to have this child and not be able to support it because we have no social structure for it. Great. So, yeah, kind of drives me
Yeah.
nuts. So,
I
and I will
tried
say for the
yeah, I
record,
don't
I
know about
am
that.
pro life. I think it's just I'm pro let's do the right thing for the right life, and everybody
Mhm,
should have a choice in that in terms of the person that's physically here with a mind that they can use.
mhm.
It's like, yes, is there a viable child, and that is a pro-ish life, but what life are you bringing that to for a pro-lifer? My question always for someone that's pro-life is like, how are you going to help that person that's bringing that kid into the world? How are you going to help support that child? And that is always
The co
crickets.
Yeah, crickets. I mean, you start to have the conversation from different points of view from, well, not just the person who wants to be Christian or right
Mhm.
wing and
Mhm.
pro-life, but also, okay, let's take it from your perspective and turn it into the medical professional's perspective, where now they have somebody coming across into the hospital who needs this care because they're having a miscarriage and they need an emergency procedure to save a life, but now that person can't just do their job and save the life, they have to think of their profession. And then you have to take into the economic case and think about, well, what about foster care and just that whole foster care system
Yeah.
where it's just broken. I don't even have anything intelligent to say about it other than it it's people who go through the foster care system, very rarely do I hear some success story.
Yeah.
It's very rare.
Well, and then that begs the question too. I mean, this is such a rabbit hole where we could even have a whole nother podcast again. But
Mhm,
if we had a better established system, would the choices people make be different? I mean, I remember being in school, one of my girlfriends, um, she got pregnant. It was a Christian college. She got kicked out. She finished nursing school. She's an MP. She's got 4 kids. The kid she was pregnant with, she got married to the guy. I mean, I don't think they ever intended not to. They just sort of, you know,
mhm.
she got pregnant before she got married. I mean, who am I to judge her morality and what she was doing, you know? But it's like she got kicked out of school. What about the dude? The dude was still in school. The dude still got to be in school. Like, did she like have sex and get pregnant on her own? It like seriously like still pisses me off to this day. And she is a doll. She is still Adventist. She goes to church religiously, totally supports the system. Good on her, because I'm like, they're all a bunch of fucking pricks. Sorry, I shouldn't be cussing. But they're all a bunch of pricks. It's like the time when she needs the most support and she's choosing to have this kid, the religious system basically shunned her. and
Mhm.
said, "Well, you're going to have to figure it out yourself because we're not going to allow you to continue going to school here and we're not going to support you." But the dude that got her pregnant gets to stay and finish school because, well, we can't physically see him get pregnant. So he'll stay, we'll slap his hand. You don't get to stay in school.
What time are we living what time period are we living in? That's insane to me. I'm like, "Is this is not the 1950s. Come on."
No, but it's like we literally it's like those types of conversations. We have not progressed. We are not supporting our society. We are not supporting women at the end of it. I mean, you look at what's going on in other countries, but then you look here and it's like, are we really doing a whole lot better? It just looks different. It just looks
Mhm.
different. And I just think that that's unfortunate. And I think if there were better support systems in place to support those women, even when they make maybe a decision that we can easily look at an armchair quarterback and say, well, that was a terrible decision. Well, it's like, yeah, I guess I wasn't thinking about my reproductive health when I got like hot in the moment? And it's like, why don't we have a better system to support them and to actually help them be able to keep those kids if you're so pro life, pro education, let them finish school. They chose to get in there
Mhm.
and go instead of kicking them out and then cutting off the one thing that they need. And like I said, the female I'm thinking of, she actually did finish school. Um
Mhm.
she practices, she's like one of the most amazing people I have ever met, like going through school, and just a good Christian person. I should be better like her. But how much better would things have been if she had had more support? And what's sad is that her story is not the story for most females. What ends up happening is, okay, so they choose to keep the kid. They lost their education. They have no way to pay for this. And now they get to struggle and bring a kid into the world so the kid gets to learn how to struggle and then perpetuate the same cycle
It's like
because we
yeah.
haven't done anything to help them. And yet we're going to sit here and like judge everybody. And that's like what just drives me absolutely nuts about um Christianity at its core, regardless of the religion. And I do have a religion minor, so it's like I feel like I was definitely a black sheep when I was getting that degree. So
Uh, isn't Christianity supposed to teach non-judgment? Isn't it supposed to be one of the religions not to judge? Don't cast stones unless, you would like to.
I mean, I think it's like we've all heard that, story. I think of Jesus like I
Mhm,
think it's like writing in the sand and,
mhm.
let that person cast the first stone. But I think at its core, it's like we're all just like, I hate to say that we're all like horrible, terrible people, but it's like, yeah, at its core, people help each other a lot less than they're willing to admit to. And it's unfortunate. I think it's like until people come together when there's issues and realize how much stronger you are as like a core group to fight an issue, the issues aren't going to press forward and get better. But it's like you've got to realize that there's a problem. There's a problem with the way that the issue is. I mean, I think social media is definitely shedding light on that. I don't know if you saw the video of I think it was a real sports thing that I had watched, but this female athlete showing like what their gym room looked like compared to the male
Oh,
gym room.
no.
I think it was like an NCAA thing, but just showing like how much support the females had in comparison to the males. And then it changed everything because she put it on social media and then it was something that people couldn't ignore. Like they had to address it. And I mean, I think that's kind of the story with women's health. It's like, maybe we as females, you have people in Congress, they need to spend more time addressing this and realizing that it's a problem, but we haven't even gotten there. We have so many women that are, I mean, Republican in Congress, and they're they're just all about being stuck in these, red and blue.
Ideologies.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then
Yeah.
they're missing the whole point.
Mhm. I That's why I'm having this podcast, because I bet you people listening to this would never know and think about miscarriage as needing abortion, and and somebody who specializes in abortion to make sure that the woman can not only live but can have a healthy enough reproductive system so that she can have kids if she wants to in the future.
Mhm.
And another thing, a question I had in regards in line with that is, the people who specialize in this abortion procedures, would they also have insight into the process of how these reproductive organs work? We need education more on that. Do women need to be taking hysterectomy, having hysterectomy procedures done if they're having certain symptomologies? Where is
Mhm.
the education going, and where is the research going for our own understanding of the ovaries and the female
Yeah.
reproductive system and women's health? We're getting further and further away from that, and I think that this research that's been being done in the article I shared with you guys earlier is an important stepping stone, but it's like we took 3 steps back and got 1 step forward to get funding in this research.
Yeah,
The
for
only thing
sure.
I can hope is that the research helps change the law, hopefully, and sometime in the very near future.
Yeah. Well, I think just seeing, like, what was it, Kansas, where they fought back with Roe v. Wade there, because I think it was Ella, and then
Hmm.
they fought to get some of those rights reinstated. So I think, there are people out there that are realizing, holy crap, like, we are literally turning things backwards. But yeah, like, in terms of the reproductive health, when I had a car accident right before right before COVID started, actually, coincidentally, I had a
Yeah.
really annoying car accident that totaled my car. I had a head to toe CT to make sure I didn't have any physical damage outside of bruises and stuff that were going to show up. And I found out I had fibroids, which I was diagnosed with in my early 20s because I had painful periods. Um, the doctor that did my CT scan was like, "You have a lot of fibroids. Like, you should probably go and get that checked out." And I was like, "Dude, I have no symptoms. Like, do I really need it?"
Hmm.
Like, I was like, "When can I train jujitsu? I really don't care about this. I care about the fact that my neck is sore. When can I go back and train after this dumbass car accident? I'm really annoyed. This is like very inconvenient for me." And my husband's like, "You're retarded." Um, but I go and I look up, okay, like this whole deal with fibroids. What are my options if I go back to the doctor to address this? Which, mind you,
Hmm.
I have no symptoms for because I'm pretty active. So like the cramping is actually not that bad. When I have sort of bad cramps, I actually will go and train and just push through it. And most of the time my cramps actually will go away because it's not like I'm running around the gym. I'm just trying to shove fat people, well, not fat people. I'm trying to shove bigger people off me and I'm trying to get into a more advantageous position. Most of the time, I'm so
Hmm.
concentrated on that, I completely forget I'm having cramps. The cramps don't even come back till after class is done anyway. Um, and I'm in a better mood. So usually it's like you just need to go. I think most people should just do
Hmm.
jujitsu. But the crazy thing is that yeah, you go and look that up online. They will tell you one of the viable options is to have a hysterectomy. But do you know what else drinks fibroids?
What's that?
Menopause. Perimenopause makes it worse. And then once all of those hormones are done doing their thing and being out of control, which causes them to get bigger, and then you're at the
Mm-hmm.
end, you hit menopause, all of that starts to shrink. The supply is cut off and they start to shrink. Why do we not talk about this? So is there a way to like I mean, it's like I have more questions than answers, but I just thought it was
Hmm.
interesting that I was like, "Oh, okay, so I've got these fibroids and I've got all these options to go into the doctor and I guess get treated for it." And I've chosen actually to do absolutely nothing because I have no symptoms.
Hmm.
The only symptom I have is that I know I'm going into I'm in perimenopause and I'm going to hit menopause here probably in the next 2 or 3 years. But once I hit that, it's like, is that even something that's necessary? It's all gonna shrivel up anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Granted, that may not be the answer. I just thought that that was interesting. It's like food for thought because I do think there are women that have legitimate symptoms and issues with all of this stuff, and that's part of the reason they go to the doctor, and then the doctor says, "Hey, we can just cut it all out." But it's like, were there actually other non-invasive things that could have been done earlier on? I don't know, like birth control, like different forms of birth control. Can that limit that and make that less intense? Can they adjust that now? They know more about it now than they did when I was in my 20s and 30s,
Mhm.
and so I just feel like it's so unfortunate that we have not studied that more and we have not learned more when we actually had probably the ability to do that and it just wasn't being done. It took getting more rights taken away for people to realize, oh, we have a lot to study.
Yeah.
So
We have a lot to study, and I'm hoping that this podcast opens people's minds to you can't just rely on the research that is for the general population, especially when it comes to women's health. Because guess what? The research is minimal at best, as it is now. I'm talking about peer reviewed articles and research that scientists are using, and it takes a very long time for that research to get into your textbooks
mhm,
and to be approved by whatever institution your medical professionals are learning from.
yeah,
So for us women right now, as it is, I'm sorry, it's 2022, about to be 2023. The research is not out there for when it comes to your health. So we actually need to be more proactive and go and learn from people like Dr. Stacey Sims, to go in and find other doctors who are actively in the research currently,
yeah,
right now as it stands. Not that they put not research based in the 1990s, because guess what, that was almost 30 years ago.
yeah,
So you we actually need to be finding out what the current research is, what the current peer reviewed research is, and unbiased research, because there's a lot of research out there that is paid research. You need to find out what's unbiased, do your own education, and understand how your body works and how your physiology works, because this goes far beyond just what's your beliefs are.
yeah,
It's your mental health. It's your physical health. It's your physical health. And it's very well underserved right now as it is.
yeah.
So thanks so much, Shar, for having you being on my show today. I really appreciate your time. Do you have
Thanks
any
for
other
inviting me.
questions? Yes.
Uh, well, I always have questions.
Yes.
Jujitsu questions. No, just kidding. Um, Although, yeah, I actually probably will have a lot of questions for you now, Miss Black Belt.
Oh. Well, I do have to make a trip up there. And
Yeah.
it is in my mind to go plan some time to visit you in the summertime. I think that's what we talked about, like June,
Oh, yeah,
July,
yeah. Come here in the
August.
summer. Right now, it is just, we just had our first snowfall. It's cold.
Mhm.
I'm like
Mm-mm.
not liking driving out to work because of ice. It's no, it's a bad time
Yeah.
to come out. I mean, it's pretty when it's not raining or snowing, but yeah. I have to say that I really miss the Bay Area. I miss sun, especially this time
Well,
of
I'm
year.
in Daly City. Yeah, I'm in Daly City, so sun is
I
meh.
mean, I know the fog comes in, but I'm telling you, it's totally different when you live in an area where you can run away and find sun versus here. I did not believe seasonal affective disorder was a thing. And then I moved out here and I'm like, holy crap, it's crazy. And people get grumpy as hell when it's like awful for multiple months and then all of a sudden the sun comes out. I don't
Yeah.
know what goes on in people's heads. I'm sure there's a study out there that would probably explain this, but it is crazy. So yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Come out in the summer after, like, we've had a few weeks of nice days, and then I will tell you the summertime out here is amazing. I think it's one of the best kept secrets for the Northwest that I
Oh.
had no idea. Yeah, yeah,
Oh, it's been decades since I've been in Washington or and Oregon. I was even younger when when I was in Oregon, so I can't wait because it's so beautiful. It's such a beautiful drive, so I can't wait to go visit you.
yeah. Well, and I need to come out and visit you out there and see everyone. Meet Jin's baby.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, you're closer to Jen than I am. Oh, Jen! I'm thinking Jenna, but yes, Jen.
Jin. Yeah.
Marcelo.
Yeah, she was one of my first training partners when I first started jujitsu. We were both white belts.
That's so wild.
Yeah, so it's crazy. It's crazy to even message her every now and then, and I'll like maybe have a random question or just I don't know, just checking in with her. I'm like, man, because she was one of the people when I tore my ACL because we were both at Charles Gracie.
Mhm.
She was constantly messaging me like, "When are you going to be back on the mats? When are you coming back? When are you going to train?" Because I was like, "Dude, I don't know this sport. I think I might quit. Like I'm too small." And then it's like I'm sitting there like wallowing in my littleness. Meanwhile, the one person that's smaller than me is like, "Why you not on the mat? Like, come on, like come watch, come on."
She's she is such a sweet person and,
Mhm.
she's super yeah, she will motivate you for sure.
Yeah.
She won't let you just sit there and wallow in self-pity. She
Yep.
is like,
Mhm.
"Get your mindset right, let's get back into it."
Yep.
She's been just a really great friend. Me and her reconnected in the past several months, and she's just been
Mhm.
really, really a very good friend too.
Yeah. Yeah. No, she's awesome. But it's like I feel like I have stories like that with all of you, like, breaking both wrists and then uh you guys picking me up at my place to get me over to the gym so
Mhm.
I can watch everyone train. And then my most recent injury is I broke this finger right here.
Ouch.
More annoying than anything else. I discovered I could still train and I can still choke people with one arm and a foot. So, it just changed the way chokes look. It's kind of fun. I like to call it
You'll
brown
be
belt.
more dangerous now. Yeah.
I know this is about to come back, everybody. So, yeah.